The Bible isn't organized in a way most of us naturally think, but it is organized. So, if you want to give yourself the best shot at engaging with the material, figure out the lay of the land. Here's the thing. Very few of us think in chapters and verses. So when we open up a Bible for the first time, we are entering another world. It's not only another world because the content of the text is unfamiliar, on the basis that none of us are living in the ancient Near East or Roman-occupied Israel, but it's also different because the text communicates in ways that we don't naturally understand. Chapter books do get us relatively close. We do understand the concept of breaking a story up into sections, but then break those sections down into verses and then mix up the order, and now we're stumped. One of the biggest hurdles in Bible reading actually has nothing to do with the content and everything to do with the communication. If you want to learn how to read the Bible, you should learn how to navigate the Bible. There are a couple different aspects to this, but referencing, what we're going to talk about today, is a tool that helps you specifically with processing the text. You need to get familiar with speaking the language of chapters and verses. Speaking this language involves reading and thinking that way too. Without this skill, whenever you get to the text, you'll be drinking water out of a fire hose, so to speak. The Bible isn't organized in a way most of us naturally think, but it is organized. So, if you want to give yourself the best shot at engaging with the material, figure out the lay of the land. It's like when you're trying to cook in someone else's kitchen. One of the most frequent questions you'll ask is, where do you keep the paprika? You can't cook if you don't know where the pans are, or where this person keeps the seasoning. You might find your way, but it's so much easier when you figure out how the kitchen is set up before you start. Referencing is a skill you can add to your Bible reading in the early days or in the later days. No judgment when you're still trying to get a hang of how it communicates. Have you ever heard a Christian talk about the Bible and start quoting Bible verses? I remember hearing those people when I was young in my faith and wondering how in the world they got their brains to remember not only the content, but the biblical references too. As I grew in my faith, I got better at memorizing Bible verses, but it took me a while to get the hang of including the verse references. To me, they just weren't all that important and very hard to remember. But as I grew more, I realized that referencing is about two things: accessibility and accountability. Referencing is the difference between saying, I read about this person somewhere in this book, somewhere near the beginning, I think, and they did this thing, and saying Hagar was the first person in the scriptures to give God a name, which is cool because she was black and a woman, and all the proof was in Genesis, specifically chapter 16, and even more specifically, verse 13. It's the difference between standing in the middle of a kitchen, opening every single cabinet looking for garlic powder, and knowing exactly which drawer has the ladles. I will admit, this tool is a lot easier if you're someone who journals or writes in your Bible as you read, but the goal is to get used to pointing back to the text. When engaging with biblical material, you want to be able to include any details the text gives and cite where that detail was written. So instead of saying, in that place this thing happened, you can say Tyre. Instead of saying somewhere in the middle of Psalms, you can say Psalm 71, verse 3. Accessibility is about inclusivity. Not only are you helping yourself speak the language of the scriptures when you refer back to the details of the text, but you are helping others follow what you're saying. Ensuring that you and the people around you are all speaking the same language means giving all the necessary information so they can keep up. Additionally, referencing holds us accountable. One of the worst parts about being a Bible reading human is that you discover how many people claim to also be Bible reading humans and they actually aren't. When you can refer back to the text, you help alleviate some of the pressure that comes from all those lies swirling around the world claiming that the Bible said X, when actually the Bible never really said X, it actually said Y. You also protect yourself from people speaking into your faith who don't deserve the honor. And you hold yourself to the standard of knowing that what you say is based upon your study and didn't just come from the black abyss that is your mind. The same way making dinner is much easier when you know where all your ingredients are. The world of the biblical text opens up to you in a new way when you understand how the text communicates. As you read, try writing down the details of the story and the verses that describe those details. It's not that Bible reading requires being able to cite everything, but that this practice can help you get used to how the text is laid out. Notice patterns as you read and break down information even when it's all new to you. One day, you'll be familiar enough to stop doing this practice so regularly, and your brain will track with these things automatically because of the knowledge and comfort you gained. Until then, keep asking, where do you keep the olive oil? Your life will be so much easier if you do. Hi, this is Genesis here, editing and realizing I forgot to record me telling you I created 4 days of Bible study on this exact topic and put it on Substack for you, totally free. So, if you'd like to add this reading method to your Bible study but don't know where to start, head on over to Olive Fig and Vine Substack for 4 days of guided instruction from yours truly. It's totally free, so you should totally do it. Okay, bye.